I'm Justin Estes, and this is the Untitled Coaching Podcast, and today we're talking supplements. If you train with us, I would bet my bottom dollar that at some point in your first 6 months, you are going to pull one of the coaches aside and be like, what supplements should I be taking? And if you want my honest answer, you don't really need to take supplements. However, there are supplements that I take, and there are supplements that our coaches take, and there are supplements that I believe in, and we can chat about some of those. The variables, there's just so many variables to take into consideration. First step is, why do we want to supplement, and what are we trying to improve with supplementation? Can we change these things through better nutrition habits, better sustenance, or better rest, or maybe even tweaking how we train? But that's not why you're listening. You're listening because you want to hear me break down creatine and BCAAs and pre-workout and all the fun stuff. So those will be the things we talk about today. First on the docket, creatine. Creatine is a naturally occurring compound found in muscle cells that help produce energy, that's ATP, during high-intensity exercise. It is stored in the muscles and used for quick bursts of power and strength. While the body produces creatine, supplementing can enhance performance and recovery. Creatine is something that has been researched for years, and it's shown to be effective helping with increased strength and power output, improved recovery, enhanced endurance in workouts, and then increasing lean muscle mass. Do you need to take it? It's a personal choice. If you're training correctly, if you're eating correctly, you're going to get the things you need and not have to take creatine. However, creatine supplementation, the reward far outweigh the risks, because honestly, there really aren't any to this point. The data does not show any significant risks or even minor risk of taking creatine. There's a lot of studies out there supporting creatine for memory and cognitive health, which is why I take creatine. My grandparents on both sides, I have grandparents on both sides of the family that have dementia and that have struggled with neurodegenerative disease, and creatine has shown that it has neuroprotective benefits. And there's just year after year, there's more studies coming out that show that daily creatine intake is beneficial. So it supports brain energy metabolism. It helps the brain produce ATP, reducing mental fatigue. It improves memory and cognition. It's beneficial for older adults experiencing mild cognitive decline. And like I said, the research suggests that it may slow progression in neurodegenerative diseases. Those are things like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. So how to take creatine? We're looking at 3 to 5 grams per day. There's really no need to be on a creatine cycle. Timing anytime. And then a lot of times you'll see like creatine helps with hydration. It's because you have to drink water or drink a fluid with creatine. So don't get fooled by that. Final takeaway, creatine is a safe, well-researched, and highly effective supplement for both CrossFit athletes and cognitive health. Whether you're training for better performance or looking to support long-term brain function, creatine is a simple addition to your routine with proven benefits. Isn't that neat? How I take it myself is I'll usually take it with my electrolyte mix or my intro workout mix, and it kind of depends on what I'm doing during my session. But I do it just because that's really the only time that I'm doing any sort of like powdered supplementation. So I'm like, why not just batch it and roll? Which takes me to the next thing would be BCAAs, branch chain amino acids. So there's 3 essential amino acids. There's leucine, isoleucine, and valine. And we're looking at leucine triggering muscle protein synthesis. So that's growth and repair. Isoleucine, we're looking at endurance and glucose uptake into the muscles. And then valine, we're helping with energy production and recovery. So the uses, benefits of BCAAs, we're looking at muscle recovery, reducing fatigue, and then muscle preservation. So we're helping the muscles reduce soreness after workouts, delay fatigue, or even preventing some breakdown during fasting or caloric deficits. So that brings me to who needs BCAAs. I would not suggest BCAAs for all of our athletes. Studies show that, consuming enough protein like whey, meat, eggs, etc., BCAAs may not be necessary or even beneficial. So BCAAs would be best for an athlete training fasted or someone struggling to hit their daily protein intake. One of the risks of taking BCAAs is you could potentially throw off your blood sugar levels. And so just like quick little story about that is we had an athlete at the gym years ago that eats fairly clean and was eating enough protein, found a BCAA mix that also had electrolytes in it, really enjoyed that mix, and just did their yearly physical, and their doctor was like, hey, you're on your road to diabetes. And this is a fairly lean person and had no other indications that any other yearly physical or blood work that they would get regularly drawn that A1C was elevated. And the only thing they changed was this BCAA mix that they were taking from a pretty reputable company, and they weren't using any sort of like synthetic sweeteners or anything like that. I want to say that the sweetener was coming from monk fruit, but it was just another sugar that they were taking in each day. So it's one of those things that, is it essential? Is it something that all of our athletes need? I'm not sure. I would say no. You probably most likely, I know that's soft talk, but you most likely don't need BCAAs, especially if you're eating enough protein. Now there is a, let's see, I have a bunch of notes here, so bear with me. But yeah, so getting to, oftentimes drinks with BCAAs have sugars or synthetic sugars mixed into them. So I'm going to put a couple drinks on blast, just because I see them in the gym often and I see them littering our trash cans. So C4, so we're C4, Bang, Rain, Monster, Ghost, the Alani Nu, all of those use synthetic sweeteners, and all of those have really great marketing campaigns that would make you think this is a very healthy drink, and you are spiking your insulin when you're drinking these. So some of the risks that we see with these sweeteners, number one would be gut health disruptions. So these sweeteners may alter your gut microbiome, affecting your digestion and your immunity. Sucralose and ACE-K have been shown to disrupt beneficial gut bacteria. And then we're also looking at increased cravings and overeating. Artificial sweeteners trick the brain into expecting calories, potentially leading to increased hunger and sugar cravings. Potential metabolic effects. Some studies suggest that artificial sweeteners may interfere with insulin sensitivity and your glucose metabolism. Possible neurological effects. Here's where it gets fun. Aspartame has been linked to headaches, mood changes, and cognitive issues in some individuals. And older studies were linking aspartame to cancer in rodents, but the human studies remain inconclusive. I don't know, man. Is that something you want to play around with? Should you avoid synthetic sweeteners? Yes. Occasional use is okay, is safe, but there are definitely better alternatives. Monk fruit, natural sources like honey and coconut sugar. There's definitely cleaner drinks out there. Some things that we really like would be like Zevia Energy, the Yerba Energy, Matcha Bar Hustle Energy. I like Jocko's Go Energy drink. Big fan of that. Let's talk about electrolytes and hydration just because we're there. We live in Texas. It gets hot. People sweat a lot. Sometimes people sweat just walking to the parking lot. I don't see anything totally wrong with an electrolyte mix, but once again, you need to make sure that we're not drinking a bunch of sugar. I love the Element, LMNT electrolytes. There's no sugar, no artificial sweeteners. It's only sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Big fan of that. I also have clients and some of our college athletes that really like the Redmond Relight or the Noon Sport, the Clean Noon Sport. And then honestly, just coconut water. Big fan of coconut water. And if you throw some coconut water and some whey protein, that is just magic. Coconut water and Paleo Proteins chocolate protein is crack. Like, that is the only way I know how to describe it. I've never tried crack, but I would assume that very similar. Another drink that I like would be Transparent Labs BCAA glutamine. It's their powder. It uses stevia and uses really clean ingredients. I'm a big fan of Transparent Labs. I like the stuff that they're doing. Let's talk a little bit about everyone's favorite, pre-workouts. I got to be honest, I don't get it. Like, I get it because I used to do it. I used to be that guy. I used to just be like, let's just put that NO Explode right into my system. Like, let's just dry scoop that NO Explode and then go out to football and run through a wall and then crash. That used to be me. I used to really love SFH had their pre-workout. I used to really love that. I used to take it every morning at 4 a.m. on my way to the gym, and I would just feel those little tinglies. You don't need it. You really don't need it. I'm going to just take a hard stance right here. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you're doing. You don't need it. And if you do need it to get through your workout, we have a heart issue and not like a cardiovascular issue. We have a why issue. Why are you training? And we can unpack that later. But you do not need pre-workout. And I'm just going to go in on pre-workout real quick. The first thing I don't agree with, I got nothing against beta-alanine. There's not a lot of data to show that beta-alanine is bad for you, other than some people, it just doesn't agree with them. What I don't like is the high caffeine content. You're looking at 200 to 400 milligrams of caffeine per serving. That's 2 to 4 cups of coffee. And most of you bing bongs drink coffee anyways. And you people that don't drink coffee, like, we're still cool. I just don't get it, but like, we're cool. But 200 to 400 milligrams of caffeine before you're about to go do something intense, or sometimes not intense, it's just there. I'm like, why? Why do you need that? The risks we're looking at: jitters, restlessness. That's no fun. Who wants to be shaky? Increased heart rate and blood pressure. Oh. Anxiety and nervousness. Yikes. Sleep disturbances if you're taking it late in the day. And late in the day, mind you, we're talking anything like after 11 a.m. Yeah. So there's a handful of y'all that I'm thinking about right now that tell me you have trouble sleeping, and I know you come train in the evening and you're hitting sometimes 2 scoops of pre-workout. Yeah, I have no doubt that you have trouble sleeping. I would too. I'd have trouble sleeping for like 6 days if I took that much pre-workout. So the other thing is, if we look at studies on high caffeine intake, and so let's take out, if we look at studies that link people that use pre-workout 3 to 6 times per week and drink coffee, or maybe even just don't drink coffee, but one of the studies that I looked at is people that took pre-workout 5 times on average per week. There is a direct correlation between their increased stress hormone, cortisol, and potential for cardiovascular strain. So you're looking at people who started taking pre-workout, and then by 6 months later, they're looking at a drastic increase in cortisol levels and increase in cardiovascular strain. So they're looking at a higher blood pressure, higher resting heart rate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all these markers that would tell us that you could be at risk for a cardiovascular event, these markers start to get more prevalent. So that's no fun. So some pre-workouts contain vasodilators, citrulline, arginine, to increase blood flow. This can cause low blood pressure. I can't speak. And then combining that with high stimulants could put extra strain on your heart. Stimulant-heavy pre-workouts have been linked to elevated heart rate and blood pressure spikes. Tons of studies on that. So my thing would be, why put ourselves in that situation, and why continually put ourselves in that zone? It's just not needed. Stop taking pre-workout. You don't need it right now. If you are mixing up your pre-workout to get to the gym, put it down. I can tell you, as someone who used to hit NO Explode every day, as someone who used to hit SFH's pre-workout every day, it will take you a little bit to get used to not training. But I can tell you, I'm 8 years pre-workout free, and I haven't looked back. And there is no difference in performance, and there's no difference in output other than just maybe how I feel. And you're talking about, you got Rage Against the Machine going on in your brain, or you got something a little bit lighter and a little bit, you can kind of take yourself to that place. The other thing we're looking at is kidney and liver stress, overuse of certain ingredients. So creatine, niacin, and high stimulant blends can put added stress on the liver and kidneys, especially in high doses. But long-term excessive pre-workout use contributes to dehydration and kidney strain. While creatine is safe, excessive doses of niacin and stimulants are linked to liver stress. So tip, stay hydrated and avoid mega dosing these ingredients. A lot of times you'll see people like dry scooping, and it's just a no-no. Got a little soapboxy there on the pre-workouts, but to land the plane on this, creatine good, BCAAs good, but maybe not needed all the time. Pre-workout, that's a no-no. And I know that I drew a hard line in the sand on pre-workouts, and I would be interested to hear your reasoning as to why you take it. I can tell you that in 12 years of coaching every day and having this conversation with athletes and even myself, the only thing that I've ever heard on pre-workouts that's ever made a little bit of sense to me is, I just feel better after I've taken it. Yeah, I get it. I feel better after my morning coffee. I get it. My wife feels better after her morning coffee. I understand that. But it's got really no real long-term benefit. And that's what we're doing here, right? Like, we don't come to the gym to get results in 5 weeks and keep those results for a summer. We come to the gym because the people around us matter. We come to the gym because it makes a difference if we're there, right? And when I say it makes a difference if we're there, I don't mean just like a morbid, like, you don't want to die at 40, which is true, right? I mean, you want to be present. You don't want to be tired all the time. You don't want to have brain fog. You don't want to be in a constant state of trying to recover from the previous day. We want these slow drips, these tiny minimal changes that are effective over a long period of time. We want to make lifestyle and habit changes that 10 years down the road, we look and it's massively different than who we were before. And so let's take the archetype of somebody who is just bombing pre-workout every single day. The common why: I'm tired, I work all day, I'm a parent, and I got very little sleep the night before. Okay, great. I get that. I'm in a similar boat, and I'm not trying to invalidate how you feel, but letting you know, like, I can empathize. I understand that can be a lot to take in. Hitting pre-workout occasionally, maybe you need that extra little zip. Great. What if, instead of combating our fatigue with a scoop of 400 milligrams of pre-workout, of 400 milligrams of caffeine, what if, instead of battling it with caffeine, we just decided, I'm really tired today, and the workout is 5x5 back squat, building to a max. I'm okay with not hitting a PR, and I'm okay with just like the max today being a heavy for today, being 200 pounds opposed to 275, what it was maybe 6 weeks ago. And then for my conditioning, I'm usually comfortable doing wall balls at 20 pounds, but today, just because I feel really beat up, coach, I think I'm going to use a 14-pound ball. Yeah, all right, let's try that. And then maybe we don't feel like we had to bang our head against the wall in the workout, and we go home and we're not as completely just thrashed, and we can calm down a little bit, and we can maybe decide that tonight's the night we don't watch 4 episodes of Seinfeld and stay up late. Maybe tonight is the night that we finish the 6 o'clock workout, go home, eat a good dinner, shower, read, spend some time, just being quiet, being still, and go to bed at a decent time. And then maybe see if tomorrow we don't feel better, or maybe stack that for a couple weeks and see if that's not the real improvement. That's what we're doing, and that's what we should be doing with our health and fitness, right? We shouldn't look at supplements to be something that gets us results easier or gets us results faster. We should look at supplements as supplements. Are you someone who struggles with eating enough and getting enough protein? Okay, yeah, I can understand that. So maybe BCAAs are right for you. Are you about to go to a weightlifting meet and you need that extra zip, zing, bang, for, PR? Okay, maybe that's the day we use pre-workout. Are you somebody who lifts on a regular basis and, can sometimes struggle with brain fatigue? Maybe creatine's for you. But if we're walking down GNC and we're just thinking like, oh, this battles fatigue. Oh, this battles, muscle fatigue. This battles brain fog. This battles whatever. Like, dude, what if we just take a beat and to quote one of our old members, what if we just checked ourselves? She used to be like, man, you better get yourself. What if we just checked ourselves and looked and said, what are we doing to contribute to these things? And why do I feel like supplementation is the answer? All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I am Justin Estes, and this is the Untitled Coaching Podcast. I hope you got something out of that. I hope I didn't make creatine, BCAAs, and pre-workout sound too complicated. And I also hope that I converted some of you pre-workout people to not using pre-workout. So y'all have a great week. Enjoy your training. I hope you have some badass goals that you're working towards. I'm training for the Hotter Than Hell 100 right now. In the comments, let me know what you're training for, and shoot me a DM if you have any questions about supplementation. I have some friends that are registered dietitians that I would love to connect you with. Yeah, so peace, joy, have a good day.